When people talk about the craziest military vehicles ever created, they usually mention giant tanks, nuclear bombers, or experimental aircraft. But almost nobody remembers the machines that genuinely looked like humanity was preparing to colonize another planet. And that's exactly what the LeTourneau LCC-1 Sno-Train and the LeTourneau TC-497 Overland Train felt like. These weren't ordinary trucks, and they definitely weren't normal trains. They were gigantic articulated land convoys designed to haul huge amounts of cargo across snow, ice, deserts, and terrain where roads simply didn't exist. And the crazy part is, these machines actually worked. The entire story starts with engineer Robert Gilmore LeTourneau, one of the most unconventional heavy equipment designers America ever produced. By the 1940s and 1950s, LeTourneau had already become famous for giant earth movers and military engineering equipment, but the Cold War created a completely new problem. The military needed a way to move cargo through places where infrastructure either didn't exist or couldn't survive. In the Arctic, roads disappeared under snow and ice. In deserts, soft terrain swallowed conventional trucks. Railways were fixed and vulnerable. Aircraft were fast but expensive and limited in cargo capacity. So LeTourneau proposed something that sounded almost ridiculous: a gigantic land train with powered wheels on every section, capable of moving enormous loads over almost any terrain on Earth. The first serious result of this idea became the LeTourneau LCC-1 Sno-Train, officially known as the Logistics Cargo Carrier 1. Its origins came from earlier experimental projects like the snow buggy and LeTourneau's electric drive LeTourneau train concepts. In late 1954, impressed by the performance of the snow buggy, the U.S. Army Transportation Corps asked LeTourneau to combine the snow capability of the snow buggy with the electric drive system of the LeTourneau train. The result was the YS-1 Army Snow Train, later redesignated by the Army as the LCC-1. And this thing was enormous. The LCC-1 used a 16 by 16 wheel configuration, meaning all 16 wheels were powered. The system consisted of a massive locomotive section pulling 3 cargo trailers, and together the train could transport approximately 45 tons of cargo across terrain where ordinary vehicles would instantly fail. The entire machine stretched around 274 feet long, and the most visually insane part of the design was its gigantic, low-pressure tires, each standing nearly 10 feet tall. These wheels were specifically designed to spread the machine's weight over snow and ice, dramatically reducing ground pressure. In some situations, the snow train actually applied less pressure to the ground than a standing human being, which sounds impossible until you realize how enormous the contact area of those tires really was. The locomotive section itself was divided into 2 main compartments. The front section housed the heated control cab for the 3-man crew, which was essential because the vehicle operated in brutal Arctic conditions where temperatures could drop below -50 degrees Fahrenheit. Behind the crew compartment sat the heart of the machine, a 600-horsepower Cummins diesel engine connected to electric generators. Instead of using traditional mechanical drive shafts running the length of the train, the engine generated electricity that powered electric wheel motors mounted directly in the hubs throughout the train. In modern terms, this was essentially a gigantic hybrid electric vehicle decades before hybrid systems became common. The cab itself was surprisingly advanced for the 1950s. Besides the engine and generators, the locomotive carried fuel tanks and even an electrically powered rear crane for cargo operations. This wasn't simply transportation. It was a self-contained mobile logistics platform capable of surviving independently in remote polar regions for extended periods. After factory testing in 1956, the Army sent the LCC-1 to testing grounds in Michigan before eventually deploying it to Greenland and other northern territories. The vehicle performed impressively well, successfully hauling real cargo across Arctic terrain until around 1962. What makes the story even more interesting is that the Army considered the project successful enough to demand something even bigger. And this is where things become truly absurd, because the next step was the LeTourneau TC-497 Overland Train, officially called the TC-497 Overland Train Mark II. If the LCC-1 looked futuristic, the TC-497 looked completely unreal. Fully assembled, the train stretched over 570 feet long, making it longer than many real railway trains. The idea behind it was similar to the Sno-Train but far more ambitious. Instead of one locomotive unit pulling trailers, the TC-497 used a modular design where powered sections could be inserted throughout the convoy, theoretically allowing the train to grow to almost unlimited length. The biggest engineering change involved the power system. The Army wanted more power with less weight, so the TC-497 abandoned the Cummins diesel engine and switched to solar turbines, Saturn 10MC gas turbine engines. Each turbine produced approximately 1,170 horsepower, and the complete train used 4 turbines, creating a combined output of around 4,680 horsepower. Unlike conventional truck engines, these turbines functioned more like aircraft engines. They were lighter relative to their power output and occupied far less space, which gave engineers much more room inside the vehicle. Because of this, the control cab of the TC-497 became something closer to a mobile command center than a truck cabin. The 6-wheel control unit stood over 20 feet tall and included sleeping quarters for a 6-man crew, toilets, a galley kitchen, and even onboard radar equipment. Imagine driving something longer than a football field across the desert while eating dinner inside what basically feels like a moving apartment powered by jet engines. It sounds ridiculous, but that was genuinely the reality of this machine. To reduce weight despite the massive size, large sections of the TC-497 were constructed from welded aluminum. Like the LCC-1, it used electric wheel motors instead of traditional drivetrains, meaning every powered wheel received electricity individually from generators connected to the turbines. But steering a machine over 570 feet long created a problem that was almost as insane as the machine itself. On normal, articulated vehicles, rear trailers cut tighter into turns than the front section. On a vehicle this long, that effect becomes catastrophic. The rear trailers could potentially swing into obstacles or drift massively off course during turns. To solve this, engineers developed one of the most advanced steering systems ever installed on an off-road vehicle. Each trailer section used actively steerable wheels that automatically turned when they reached the same ground position as the lead section. This dramatically reduced off-tracking and allowed the gigantic convoy to make surprisingly tight turns. Watching footage of the TC-497 moving feels genuinely strange, because the rear sections follow the front almost perfectly, like some gigantic mechanical centipede crawling through the desert. During testing in Arizona under Project Otter in 1962, the TC-497 demonstrated surprisingly good performance. On relatively flat terrain, it could transport approximately 150 tons of cargo at speeds near 20 miles per hour. Its operational range, while fully loaded, was usually around 350 to 400 miles, although additional fuel trailers could extend this further. And this is what makes the entire story so fascinating. The concept genuinely worked. The suspension worked. The electric drive system worked. The steering system worked. These machines were not engineering failures, but then technology moved faster than expected. By the early 1960s, heavy-lift helicopters like the Sikorsky S-64 Sky Crane began entering military service. Suddenly, the Army could move cargo directly through the air without relying on gigantic ground convoys. Compared to maintaining a 570-foot gas turbine-powered land train with dozens of wheel motors and incredibly specialized parts, helicopters started looking much more practical. So despite all the engineering success, the Army abandoned the project. The TC-497 sat unused for years before eventually being offered for sale in 1969 for around $1.4 million. Most of the train was later scrapped, and today only the giant control cab survives at the Yuma Proving Ground Heritage Center. Meanwhile, the original LCC-1 survived in much better condition and today resides at the Yukon Transportation Museum, while some of its trailers remain scattered across Alaska. And honestly, both of these machines still feel unreal even today. They represent a period when engineers believed any logistical problem on Earth could be solved with enough wheels, enough electric motors, and enough sheer mechanical ambition. These vehicles were not designed to look reasonable. They were designed to conquer terrain itself. And for a brief moment in history, they actually succeeded.